Hello, you. It's me. And I was listening to Night Convos. They were talking about some things that Gypsy had written to others about her artwork and how she needed to sell her artwork. That even a small one she sells for $65, something like that. It pays for some formula for the baby. And I was like, okay, the baby is 7, going on to 8 months. Where is the solid food? And I thought, well, I guess some babies, take at different times than others. But I remember my child, I fed them not solid, but like the cereal. It's kind of like a grits, but made for specifically for babies. And I would give them that, as a first food. And they had, even at the grocery store where you go, they would have the baby food labeled for 4 to 6 months, 6 to 8 months, something like that. And so I would follow that. And I would also make my own baby food when she got a little bit older, when she was 6, 7 months. What I would do is just take, a little bit of chicken, a little bit of like vegetables, like peas or something, and kind of mix it up in this blender. It was a hand blender, so I could just mix it up in a little bowl or whatever, and I would give her that. And I used to do it a lot with fruits because my daughter, she really liked fruit. And so I would, grab different fruits for my baby and hand mix it, and I would have some for myself and some for the baby. And it was, one, it kept costs down. Two, she still got the nutrients that she needed along with formula. I guess it's been a while since my child was a child. So, but I guess you give them formula for about a year, but you can't give them just formula. And even here, if you read this little thing I put up, it says, conversely, waiting too long beyond 6 months can make it harder for a baby to adapt to new textures and may lead to nutritional deficiencies or difficulties developing healthy eating habits. So they said the best windows between 4 to 6, with 6 months being the recommended target for most babies. Now, the only thing that really comes into question with that is baby Aurora most babies? Because I, as well as a lot of you guys, have been concerned, especially from the high-pitched cries, that maybe there's a neurological problem. I can never say that word right. Well, you know what I mean. Problems in the brain. Or she could have some other kind of delays. Or she could have the microdeletion issue that Gypsy has. And I don't know if those things would delay having more solid foods. Okay, so I just thought I'd look it up. And apparently, in the first line, it says yes. Yes, as a matter of fact, that having neurological disorders can delay a baby's ability to eat solid foods. So, and you can, feel free to read on more. That kind of answered my question right there. So, could it be that Aurora the baby has been delayed solid foods because she can't eat solid foods yet? I mean, that could be it, I suppose. But I really hate that Gypsy is on this hiding everything or pretending to hide everything phase. I feel like it'll break eventually. She'll have to be honest and tell the truth at some point. You would think. Maybe not. I mean, this is Gypsy after all that we're talking about. But because Aurora the baby may have some delays, that might be why she's not getting solid food. Otherwise, it could be very detrimental to her health. But if she has trouble eating anyway, that might be the reason why. I don't know in Gypsy's history if anybody has seen through her medical history. I know there was definitely, she had trouble thriving. She had trouble eating. I'm not sure how young she was, because I could have sworn she said that the feeding tube wasn't put in until later on. Not when she was a baby, but I could be wrong. I don't know. I don't have the medical records. Maybe somebody can answer that. But, you know, she had difficulty with eating. So it could be Aurora, the baby, is also having difficulty with that, or just swallowing. So it's delaying her ability to eat solid foods. So that could be it. I know that Ken and Gypsy swear up and down that baby Aurora is very healthy and normal and all that, but we've seen it, you know, with what they have shown of the baby. She doesn't move like a child who is 7.5 months. She doesn't sound like a child who's 7.5 months. It's really sad. But this could be the reason why. And maybe they don't want to publicize it, which under normal circumstances I would think that's fair. But you would think if there were issues and problems, Gypsy wouldn't be able to help but burst out with it. You know, oh, my child, you know, has some special needs, and she, you know, she's developmentally delayed a little bit, so this is what we're working on, this is what we're doing. I mean, honestly, if she really wanted to have a family channel, that would be a great thing to put on a family channel, to discuss, you know, what is going on with her, what the delays are, and what they're doing to try to help her along. Because I've seen that with a lot of parents who have children who have certain disabilities, and I found it very interesting to see what they were doing to help along. You know, even with the older children that are specifically autistic, they have, I think it's called RFED, and they have a very difficult time eating certain foods, or any foods, because the texture, the smell, the taste, and so they have to work really hard to get them to try new things. And it brings a tear to my eye, because honestly, you can see how hard it is for them to try a new food, and when they do, I mean, I just love hearing that, you know, you did good, buddy, you did good, you know. Because it can be a really difficult thing for children and for adults. Adults have it too. So that could actually be interesting. Gypsy could actually put something online that is interesting, that is informative, that can show, if you have a child who has this issue, you know, here are some ways that you can help, and talk about what has been working for her or what hasn't been working for her and what they've been doing. The problem is I don't know if Gypsy is invested in her child enough to even know. And I know that sounds terrible, but I don't see it. I don't see it. And again, I don't see her 24/7. I'm not saying that she doesn't, although I'm assuming she doesn't, because she seems again to have no interest in her child whatsoever. But that could actually be interesting, and that would actually get views. And, maybe next week she'll start doing that. Maybe that'll be her new thing. I don't know. I feel sorry for the whole situation. But if baby Aurora has some issues that need to be addressed, it would be interesting to see what they're doing to address it. And if Gypsy did decide to make this her new content, one, more people would watch because they would be invested in Aurora the baby and wanting her to be healthy. And two, I think it would force Gypsy and Ken to be parents and to take their child to the doctor regularly and feed the child regularly and pay attention to the child regularly. So it could be actually a beneficial thing if Gypsy was doing the family channel again and talking about the things that she's doing with baby Aurora. Maybe it would help push her along to actually do things with baby Aurora. Sticking her on her belly and turning on the TV, that's not doing things for baby Aurora. That's not playing with her. Maybe if she had an audience who is curious, maybe even if it's just for the camera, she'd still be giving baby Aurora some attention. And if she's taking Aurora to regular doctor visits because she has certain delays, then again, that would bring people in to watch. That would give her an audience. And she wouldn't have to do all this bullshit of, oh, I'm a painter now, or oh, I'm a exercise guru, or oh, I'm a beauty and wellness expert. She's not any of those things, and she should never have tried to be any of those things, because she is a convicted criminal. We can't forget that. Gypsy wants us to forget that. We can't forget that. But if she really wanted to move on, then she would be moving on with her family. And if she were to show, well, these are some of the trials and tribulations that we've had to go through because of this or that, I think more people would be interested in watching that. I don't care about these get rich quick schemes of hers. They're just stupid. All she does, and this is a lot of people who have the kind of a narcissistic personality who also like to kill, they tend to copy other people. They don't tend to have an original idea for themselves. And that's why she did all those things. She's like, oh, well, these people make a whole lot of money, so I'll do that. But she doesn't have the skills to do those things. It takes skills. Beauty gurus, they've spent many years honing in on their craft of how to do this and that with makeup, and how they do their hair, and all that stuff, how they dress. It takes a certain eye and a certain talent to be able to dress well, and I certainly can't, but but it does take a certain, not just an interest in it, but studying it, looking at it, knowing the lines and the shapes, and same with doing makeup, same with doing hair. These are things that you don't just wake up and know. you have trial and error. And when you've been doing it for so many years, you get pretty good at it. She hasn't done any of that. She hasn't invested any time in herself to learn any of those things. But at least if she continued with her family channel, she would have a doctor there. The doctor would be, telling her maybe a good diet for Aurora, or how to introduce solid foods when she's ready. And she could talk about that. Because that's, real life stuff that people want to know about. Especially, people who have babies right now, or who will potentially have a baby soon. Or they just found out that their child has some kind of a delay or some kind of an issue that they have to work on. Having somebody else in their corner who also has these issues, it's really nice, because then you don't feel alone. And you can better understand and say, oh, she's doing this for baby Aurora. I'm going to ask my doctor, do you think that would work for my child? But then again, that would just make sense. And that would mean that Gypsy is a normal human being and a mother who cares for her child, which, in my opinion, doesn't describe Gypsy at all. But if she's going to grift anyway, at least grift for the benefit of baby Aurora. Am I right? Nothing else is going to happen right now. So, I hate to say use the child, but again, at least the child would be hopefully looked after better than what's happening now. Because it doesn't look like that child is being paid any attention to. At least here, she would have to do some kind of work at paying attention to her daughter, because people want to know about it. That's why people knock her so much now, because the things that people want to know, she doesn't want to share. But when she does share, it's bullshit that nobody gives a fuck about. Not that she's gonna listen to me, I'm sure. I'm sure that family channel is gone and forgotten. But it would be interesting, especially if Aurora, the baby, as we suspect, might have some problems. That would be a great thing to talk about, and how they're working through it. That would be interesting. Because otherwise, Gypsy is so uninteresting, so boring, don't care. I just want justice. You know what I mean? I want her to stop lying and saying stupid shit and hurting so many people. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. But at least maybe we can get her to pay attention to her kid and take care of her kid to some degree. Give Aurora a chance, Anyway, I was just thinking on that. Thank you for listening. And that's all I got to say.